Hi there, folks. So we are working on squats this month. So this video is all about squats, how we get started, the best form, the different variations, ways to modify, and also ways to just keep growing in strength if you're good at your squats and how to make them more challenging. So I'm going to get started first with the most basic form of squat. Starting off the basics, we work with our sit to stands. If you can get up and out of a chair, you're using similar muscle function and form that you would in a squat, freestanding squat with no support. So we'll start there first. The majority of the muscles that are used are in the legs, down through the feet, even the stomach muscles and the back get used. So many muscles come into play, and that's why it's really helpful. This is really an important muscle group to be using all the time because this helps us get in and out of chairs. It helps us bend down to lift heavy items off the floor properly. So it's really important that we're able to do squats, do them properly, and if we're not doing them properly, we're building up, trying to get stronger and using those muscle groups to keep us safe down the road. Here we go. If you have a good sturdy chair that you can use, something that's not too low or too squishy and cushiony if you're starting off with your squats. So you're gonna be in position, right? My feet are underneath me. I'm trying not to use my hands, and then I'm just going to lean forward just a tad so I have a little bit of a hip hinge. My weight is in my heels. I'm gonna squeeze my butt muscles and use my legs to help me up. And then I'm going to lower myself back down using my legs and controlling my sit. So I'm gonna show you what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to have to use your hands to help you up, and then on your way down, you flop down. We don't wanna do that. So this is where we have control coming from our legs, our stomach, and our back and our butt muscles. So again, hinge forward a bit, weights in our feet and our heels. We're using here, we don't wanna use all our knees. So if you find yourself with all your weight forward, knees doing all the work, probably not doing it correctly, or we need to do a lot more work to strengthen these upper leg muscles and our thighs, our butt, so that our knees aren't overdoing all the work. So again, hinge forward, weight in our heels, squeeze those butt muscles, strong stomach, and up. Then as we go back down, hips and butt go back, coming down nice and controlled, and sitting down. Once you can do that for a while, and it's getting easy to go up and down very quickly, no problem, then you're ready to move on to a squat without using the chair. If doing a free squat like this makes you a little nervous, you can do it over the chair. So let's pretend that chair is still behind me. I could come down, not sit down, and come back up. Now, if you want to move it on even further, you don't want to use a chair, you can also use a counter or a sink. You can be near your kitchen sink or your counter, hands are on, maybe you have the sink that you can grip into, your hips are going to go back, and then you're going to come down a little bit, squeeze those butt muscles all the way up, bringing those hips forward. So if you come down like this, and then you come up only halfway and keep going, you're not bringing your hips all the way forward, squeezing those butt muscles. So we want to make sure we come all the way up to standing before we go back down to the next move. So my hands are here for some support. My hips go back, come down to where I'm comfortable, right? If you can go all the way down, that's great. But go down to where you're comfortable, all the way up to standing. Now, I say your stomach muscles need to kick in. You can't just let them relax. Because as you go down like this, you can see some people will get a little arch in their lower back. Now, if my stomach muscles are relaxed, my back's gonna do a lot of work. So I want to tighten my stomach muscles, squeeze my butt all the way up to the top so my back's not doing too much of the work. Also, when it comes to people who have knee problems, sore knees, arthritis, anything like that, when you're here in this position and you're coming back, if you get to here, and all your weight's forward in your knees, then maybe you need to recheck your positioning. Or don't go down so far. Start with little ones, right? Until you feel stronger to move up to harder ones. So let's progress forward. We're gonna work on air squats now. Now I've seen people put their hands out doing a squat. I see people who have their hands here. When it comes to the hands, where your hands are is really up to you. It doesn't matter where your hands are. Some people even do squats like this. It really doesn't matter. What matters the most is the legs, hips, butt, all this coming together properly is what's helpful. So remember, I hip hinge, butt goes back, right? Like you want someone to check out the butt. That's the best way I can describe it. Butt goes back. Then I come down to where you're comfortable, and then remember, squeezing all the way up, hips come forward. I'll show you again. Butt comes back, I come down, and I squeeze all the way up until my hips come all the way forward. Good posture, okay? Next, if we want to get even lower, another way to get lower as well, if you're at this level where you can do a freestanding squat but you can't get very low, or you don't have the counter to use, or you're at a gym, are TRX bands. TRX bands that are tied up to something on top, usually a bar. People have tied them onto door frames, get them set up with special devices. Those are good too because you can hold on to something, right? You're holding on to the band, the rope, and then you come down, you can get down really low and all the way up and you've got support. But in order to do a TRX workout, you also are going to be using your arms for the strength to hold you up so you don't fall down. So just keep that in mind if you decide to use a TRX band. Moving on, we've gone over how to get started if you're just getting started from a chair, moving on to some more modified versions, then getting to your free squat. Let's say you're at your free squat. Things are going really well. You'd like to challenge yourself now at this point. I'm gonna go over some different ways to challenge your squats. If you're doing squats, they're good. You're ready to get into harder squats, okay? So there are some ways to get into harder squats. One, getting down lower. There's a variety of squats to do. We can add weights, we can add bands, we can even do single leg versions. So I'm gonna start off with just doing the band. Any type of resistance band that you wanna use is great, whether it's the kind that you tie and wrap around, a therapy band. If you have a loop band like this one, but that's the rubber stretchy kind, or this version that's the cloth. It doesn't matter to me as long as you have a band to use. So once you get it on around your mid-thigh area, you're ready to do your squat and it will be harder. You want to keep your knees hip distance because what the band is going to do is it's going to try and squeeze your legs together. We don't want it to do that. We want to keep it open the whole time against the resistance, and then you do your squats again, all the way up, all the way down. And what will happen here, this band is going to really activate more of your glute muscles and even our outer thigh muscles. All the way up, all the way down, all the way up, okay? That's one way to make them harder. Next way to make them harder is with weights. So you could use one weight. You could use one weight, just holding it. Doesn't matter what size you use. If you want to start off light with 1, 2, or 3 pound weight, if you think you're already progressed enough that you want to try an 8, 10 pound weight or even heavier, that's up to you. But you're going to hold it near your chest and you're going to do your squats. So you're just adding a weighted squat. So it's just adding more weight, which means your stomach muscles and back also have to work a little bit harder. If we want to do front weighted squats or back weighted squats, we're going to hold these at the shoulder in a comfortable position, whatever the weight size you choose, and then we're going to do our squats. Now when you do this, if you have heavier weights up here, as you come forward, because you have more front bearing weight, your back is going to do extra work and it might start to arch more in this position. With that extra weight, you really have to keep strong stomach muscles, and butt squeeze all the way up so that your back doesn't overwork when you do it in this way. Another way to make it challenging is to get lower, right? So when we're here, let's say your usual position is to go about here, and you can film yourself, you can check your positioning if you don't have a mirror or something to look at. But if you want to get lower, get really low, squeezing all the way up. Now, what's harder about getting lower is it uses more of the flexibility and range of motion back here in our Achilles through our calves. Some people cannot get that low. and that is perfectly okay. All right, the last one I'm going to show you, and this is for the more advanced folks out there, is a single leg squat. Now you cannot do this if you don't have good hip control and glute strength at this point. So I'm going to bring one foot off the floor, and I'm going to sit down into my squat and come up just one side. And this requires also a lot of balance. So if you need to, you can also have something nearby like a wall or a bar that you can hold on to a little bit if you need to while you're practicing this. But this is important that when I do this, I don't drop my hips. So it's a lot of hip control here, a lot of ab control to go up and down. And eventually, that's what we call a pistol squat. You could get really, really low in that, but that's very, very advanced move. So these are some great tips for getting started, the proper muscles to use, the great form, and also how to excel upwards to make them more advanced if you need to. This month, I'm really pushing everyone to work on squats because it's a very powerful move to be good at. Please keep practicing in any way that you can. And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Thank you.